What's up guys, Dre with Overland Tundras, and welcome back to another video. As you can see on the table, we have a new product. We've been working with some really cool companies lately that are offering us some really cool products for our trucks. And surprisingly, the prices are amazing. And the best part is I've been super happy with all the products and the quality. You would think, wow, that comes from China, the quality isn't gonna be there, but everything we've been working with lately, the quality has been top notch. For the price, of course. So super excited to get this one on the 2022 Tundra. So let's get to it. I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it, what you need to do, what you don't need to do. And that way, in case you wanna get one of these, you can install it yourself, and we'll include the link in the description. So let's get installing it. Let's get started, but before we get installing, we need to make sure we have all of our hardware and we have all of our tools. So all the hardware is labeled 1, 2, and 3 bags, which is great. And they also include tools. You're gonna need an Allen key, and then you're gonna need a wrench that is included in there. It looks like a 12 and a 14 millimeter. And I'm just gonna go ahead and use my impact drill and some sockets just to make things a little bit quicker. Just careful if you are using an impact that you don't kill your bolts or your nuts. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's check the Tundra first because we might need to prep it prior to getting any of this on there. So we're here at our 2022 Toyota Tundra, and if you can see right over here, this Toyota Tundra, and actually all of them, come with this bed rail. Now what this bed rail consists of, you can get these accessories. It comes with accessories as well, as a tie down or anything like that. So we went ahead and took this off, but if you notice, the way this bed rack is going to come in installed, it's going to have these clamshell clamps that they are actually going to attach to the bed. Now, to be able to do that, we are going to have to take this bed rail out because we want it to clamp to the bed and not to this bed rail that can flex. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. And to remove that, you're going to need a star bit. There's about 3 or 4 screws on there, and then the bed rails come out. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we got all the screws out, and these actually have a pin in there that you have to slide forward, and then it pulls out just like that. So make sure you keep these, because if you ever remove the bed rack and you want to put these back in so you can put those tie downs and stuff there, they're always useful. So don't throw them away, store them away. So some bad news, my measurements were off. The way this bed rack mounts, just like I mentioned earlier, there are these clam mounts brackets that they go in between the bed lip, and I thought it was going to be wide enough, but this is a little bit under an inch, and under here we only have 3/4 of an inch. So I don't want to bend it to get in there, and it's going to be super tight and just a headache. So the good news is it looks like it's going to fit my 2015 Toyota Tundra. So no on the 2022 Tundra, and hopefully it will fit on mine. I just measured it, and it looks like we have an inch there, so it should fit in there nice and snug. So let's give it a try. So since the 2022 was a no-go, we have my 2015. So you can see it's a little different. It has the deck system. So step 1, we're gonna move this rail from the side because these clamps clamp on the lip of the bed. So let's find out if this one's gonna work. And look at that, it fits. So our next step, they call these cards in the instructions. So we're gonna get our base mounts, there's 4 of them, clamp them down, and then we move up from there. So let's get started on that. All right, so let's get started. So we have our base mount, and then we have our gasket. Our gasket is made so we protect the top of the truck and also avoid vibrations, because metal on metal will create a lot of noise. So this thing is a little tricky to get on there, and it doesn't stay there completely, but of course once you put weight on it and whatnot, it's gonna stay on there nicely. All right, so moving on to our clam mount shell, our clam style mount. We have 2 of these per base, and then our hardware. There is 2 bolts. It's gonna be bag number 1, and the order is gonna be, it's gonna be your bolt, lock nut washer, regular washer, and then this is gonna go through the bottom. And remember, right here, it's going to be our bed, the lip, and then we're gonna put a spacer, and this goes to the base mount, just like this. This is actually right over here. So if you can see, there's 3 holes actually in there. So choose the one that best fits on your truck, and you will have to measure each side to make sure that it's even, because you don't want to mount them incorrectly, not incorrectly, but different areas, and then when you start building up, it's going to be skewed and it's just not going to line up. So make sure you measure, and I'll show you how to do that. I'll do it as well so we get everything done right. So let's go ahead and mount these. All right, so it was kind of a pain in the butt. I had to get 2 people to do this because there is a nut up there that's loose, and if it's not in the right position, the bolt that goes in straight into the top, you're not going to line it. So you got to get in there, make sure as well there's nothing in the way. This plastic cap has clips that go down through that rail as well, so they get in the way. So make sure you mount it between all those clips. So the next part is going to be in bag number 1, the longer bolt, and you're going to have the locking washer and then a regular washer. And this one, if we look closer, is what's going to clamp it closer to that lip. So we are just going to, in that area right there, that the back of the clamp's already threaded. So all we have to do is bolt this one straight through there. And then let me see if I can get this side easier. Make sure everything's aligned right, because if it's not aligned right, you are going to struggle, my friend. All right, so there's one. For now, I'll use the little provided Allen key, and we'll lock everything down, torque everything down better once we have everything in the right position. All right, and this will be our last piece for the base. All right, so just a quick recap. Our gasket, and then our clamps, which are called cards per the instructions. You're going to start first inserting the bolt on the top mount and then locking the clamp, because if not, if you start on the bottom, you're not going to be able to get that bolt on the top. So we're going to do that 3 more times. So that wasn't terrible, but you definitely need another hand to make life a little bit easier. So let's keep going. So moving on to our next step, we have these mounted, but they are not completely torqued down, because we want to make sure that we get the precise distance between each and one of them. So what we're going to do here, per instructions, is you want to loosen these up so you can shift them. For your application, your truck might have a longer bed, might have a shorter bed. So for our application, we're going to put them completely in because we have a short bed. So it is just going to slide in there just like this. And we're probably off by like an inch, but because it's loose, look, I can slide them in together like that. So we'll get these bolted in there and we'll be ready to keep moving up. So we're going to go ahead and do one side first, and then we'll shift to the other side. But yeah, 4 bolts. It's going to be bag number 2, and get those in there, and then we'll be ready to move on to our next step. After installing our crossbar, we move on to the next step, which is going to be our 3rd floor. This is extendable as well. It's just like this one. If you have a longer bed, like mentioned, you can extend that one, and here you can adjust the height. What you have to do is loosen the front and the back 2 bolts and adjust to what height you want. So I'm gonna keep this one, I think, as high as I can, because I do have the deck system. So I wanna get as much storage, as much real estate in there as possible. So I'm gonna keep these as high as I can. So we'll do that front and back, and then we'll move to the other side, do everything, and then install the crossbars. So we have everything mocked up in place. Everything is loose, but as you remember, this is an extendable and very universal to a lot of trucks bed rack. So this part's gonna extend out and this part goes up and down. So because I have a big rooftop tent that I'm gonna put on here, I wanna make sure we have the biggest footprint. That way it's more stable and it's gonna be as strong as possible. So what I'm gonna do next is slide this all the way as close as I can to the corners. The bed does bend a little and it's not gonna let me push it too far out, but I wanna get the biggest footprint. That way we can distribute the weight a a lot more throughout the bed. So let's do that next. All right, let me bring you a little closer in. So because this bed has so many bends back here and that lath gets thick, thin, the clamps are thick and they touch the walls, the closest we're gonna get to the back is going to be probably like 1.5 inches from this cap. And then on the front, we're a lot closer, so that's good. And then our part that extends here, our crossbar, that extended about maybe a good 2.5, 3 inches. So that's what's cool about this rack. It's adjustable vertically and horizontally, so awesome for multiple uses of different vehicles. So let's do the other side and then we'll go ahead and get our crossbars in. All right, so we put everything in place, measured everything out. So it's about 13 inches from this back bracket to the end of the plastic piece. Over here is about 7 inches from the end of this bracket to this plastic piece here. So it's very important because if not, your crossbars are going to be crooked and might not hold the advertised weight of 800 pounds if weight isn't distributed correctly. So we're gonna move on to our crossbars. We went ahead and put up the crossbar just to mock it up, both of them, and I noticed that they're a little wonky. You're gonna see a trend here that you're gonna have to measure a lot to make sure everything is aligned, weight's distributed properly, and it looks good. So because these are extendable, remember, you're gonna have to measure out one, extend it to whatever height you want, however low, however high you want it, and then lock it in place, and then do every corner like that. For my application, I'm going to level it just like my, my cab roof rack. That way, if I wanna put anything long, it extends all the way from the front, all the way to the back. So let's go ahead, we'll start with this one. We'll start measuring it out and then we'll move to all 4 corners. And then I think we'll be ready to lock everything down. So a little trick for you while you're adjusting everything, while you're leveling everything out, get yourself a 4 or 6 foot level. It'll make life easier just to level everything out. Obviously, everything's not perfectly leveled, but just so you can visually see it. But most important, get your measurement down. So I'm on my last one. I think I have the measurement down, but we'll see. Now it's time to secure our crossbars. Per the instructions, we have the T-screws that are gonna slide into the channel. And then on the bottom, we have a washer, and then we have our bolt over here. So each side of the crossbar has 2. So you're gonna slide them in there, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. Bolt it down, and then we should be ready to go to install our final accessories and mount whatever you want on there. So let's go ahead and install these real quick. All right, so like mentioned, I have all my hardware right here. You have the T-screws that you are gonna run through the channel, just like that. You got 1, you have 2, and then within this bracket right here, there is 2 holes where that is going to secure itself too. Make sure you line those up just like that. And there you go. You are going to do a washer. And then you are going to do your nut. Just like that. Just go ahead and secure them finger tight. Remember, everything at this point is pretty loose except the bottom clamps holding it in place. So once we have everything secure where we want it, that's where we'll go ahead and tighten everything up. So let's install our end caps. But before installing our end caps, the reason I want to go ahead and install end caps before bolting down the crossbar is because it's going to be easier to align, easier to measure. But before you install these end caps, there is a weather strip, a weather seal. This actually goes on the top. It's going to act as a little traction and also protect any water from sitting in there. So to do that, you have 2 of them included in there. You're just gonna start and feed it from one of the ends and feed it all the way straight through across. And these do fit very snug, so just take your time with it. There is no way of doing this any other way because it's so snug. So you have to start from one side and feed it through the other side. Again, this is gonna act as some traction with things that you put on there and avoid any water from just sitting in there. So we'll go ahead and do this crossbar, and then we'll do the front one, and then we'll add our end caps, and we'll be ready for the next step. Everything's in place, we measured everything out, and everything is centered. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start tightening everything from the top all the way to the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that. They provide the wrench for you, but I want to be a lot quicker and more efficient, so we're going to use the impact. All right, we'll start slowly. Do the front side, tightening it up now. Make sure we're centered. All right. Is it strong enough? Yeah, strong enough. Next step, we're gonna tighten everything down completely. Torque it down, make sure nothing's moving because we have everything kind of set in place, kind of mocked up, but not completely torqued down. So we're gonna do that next. Guys, we are done, and I am super excited to see the rooftop tent on the bed rack. I've acquired so much more space in the bed due to the fact that this is an adjustable bed rack, so it is raised up significantly. I can now open all the windows in the rooftop tent, and look how much more room I have for boxes, coolers, and camping gear in the bed because it is raised higher. So loving this bed rack. I do recommend it. The price point's amazing, the quality is great, and you just can't beat it. So check out the description. All the information will be on there with the link as well. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Pretty straightforward install. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for all your support. Love you guys.